Hey, howdy guys, this is Dave. Today we're going to be trying something a little different. We're still going to be doing a playthrough here, but instead of using a controller and a TV screen, we are going to be flipping through the pages of a book. I don't think the Choose Your Own Adventure books need any introduction, but if you aren't aware of how they work, I'll just explain it briefly. Basically, you don't read the book front to back. You come across these decisions throughout, and depending on which choice you make, dictates how the rest of the story plays out. So for this one here, we are going to be rocking book number 48 in this Choose Your Own Adventure series. This book is called Spy for George Washington. The copyright here is 1985. And without further ado, here we go. The summer of 1777 is a hot one in Brooklyn. A year ago, the American colonies declared themselves independent of England. Now the British troops occupy New York and the area around it. You have decided you can wait no longer. You want to join the revolution. One night you slip away from your chores at the farm and go down to the Red Lion Tavern. There you find your neighbor Robert Smith. You happen to know he is a rebel organizer. Smith greets you with a nod. Your families have known each other for a long time. You must be careful no Tories overhear you as you tell Smith of your resolve. These are strange times. Friends and even relatives suddenly find they are now enemies, though they continue to work together in the same town or live in the same house. Turn to page 2. Smith takes a long draw in his pipe and stares at the far wall as he considers your offer. Well, we do need all the help we can get. The revolution is at a crucial point, but I'm afraid you're just too young. The best thing you can do is keep working hard on your parents' farm, and maybe in a couple years, his voice trails off as he thinks for a moment. Then again, Smith says, maybe. Tugging at his whiskers, he looks at you closely before he continues. Perhaps you would be just the right person to undertake a little mission. I was going to do it myself, but the British are already suspicious of me. He glances around to make sure no one is listening. General Washington is camped 63 miles above here, near Haverstraw, on the west bank of the Hudson River. He chased the Redcoats through Jersey and back into New York City. Now he's waiting for their next move. Everyone expects the Redcoats to sail up the Hudson to Albany. Turn to page 7. Smith lowers his voice to a murmur. We have a spy in Manhattan who has found out otherwise. The British are going to move on Philadelphia in 3 days. Our spy has obtained the plans for the move, but you do not need to know the details. In fact, the less you know, the better, in case you're caught. What you need to do is get the envelope containing the plans to George Washington as quickly as possible. You may be young enough to slip through British lines without attracting attention. How well do you know the Hudson? I go up to Kinderhook to visit my Uncle Samuel every year, you say. That would be the perfect cover, Smith says. You can say you're going to visit your uncle. It just might work. It's a dangerous mission, though. If they catch you, you'll hang. Smith regards you with arched eyebrows. I'll do it, you say, without hesitation. Smith tells you where to find the rendezvous point in New York City. He promises he'll tell your family you're on an important mission. Then he says, go down to the docks. Ask for a captain named McGillicuddy. You can trust him. He'll take you over to Manhattan and... Smith frowns all of a sudden as 2 well-dressed men walk in the door. Those 2 are Tory spies, he whispers. You'd better go now. Good luck and be careful. I'll get the envelope to Washington, you promise. You stand up and walk out the door as casually as possible. Turn to page 11. At the waterside, you spot a burly sailor with red hair. I'm looking for McGillicuddy, you say. Aye, that be me, he responds in his heavy brogue. What would you be needing tonight? You tell him Smith sent you. He slaps you on the back and bellows, doing a wee bit of espionage, are ye? Well, climb aboard my rowboat. Always glad to be aiding in the cause of liberty. Quite a contest we're having with them Brits, eh? Oh my God. This McGillicuddy dude, he's pretty wide open, and I'm pretty sure everyone in America during this time frame still had British accents. I'm not going to be doing the British accent, so forgive me. Anyways, that's my best McGillicuddy. You hope McGillicuddy's voice doesn't carry to the British warships anchored up the shore, but he abruptly stops talking as he starts to row you across the East River. A forest of English shipmasts looms on the other side. McGillicuddy's strong arms pull the boat swiftly across the water. It isn't long before you glide up to a Manhattan wharf. Turn to page 15. I'll wait here in case you need me, McGillicuddy says with a wink. You climb out and walk up the lantern-lit Wall Street to the burned-out section of town. In among the charred ruins of the houses, you find the rendezvous point. "Are you a friend of Smith's?" a voice asks. "Yes," you say. A man in dark clothes emerges from the shadows, his eyes well hidden by a hat. "Here's the envelope," he says. "In the morning, go to Ephraim's stable on Maiden Lane. Tell him your name is Culpepper. He will provide you with a horse." You nod. He goes on. "You shall leave before dawn tomorrow, but for now, get some sleep. McGillicuddy will show you a safe place to sleep for the rest of the night." "Why not leave right away?" you ask. "I don't think that's a good idea. The British patrols are very suspicious of anyone out at this time of night. They're watching all the roads. But it's up to you." All right, so I guess we got our first choice here. If you decide to sleep, turn to page 6. If you want to go now, turn to page 12. You know what? We got the rest of our lives to sleep here. Let's get right into this journey. So we're going to turn to page 12 here. We're going to go now. "I'd rather start tonight," you say, "if you insist. But be doubly careful," the spy says. "Good luck." He disappears into the night. The first thing you do is hide the letter inside your boot. After a stop at the docks to let McGillicuddy know you're leaving tonight, you walk up Maiden Lane to the stable. It takes several loud knocks before Ephraim is roused. He greets you at the door in his nightcap, demanding, "What do you want at this hour?" His expression changes when you say, "I'm Culpepper." "Come in," he says. You decline his offer of a cup of coffee, and he goes off to saddle the horse. Soon he returns. "Everything is ready outside. I've tied a saddlebag with a blanket and provisions on the horse. Good luck." You clip-clop down the cobblestones through the sleeping city. Occasionally you turn into a side street to avoid a carousing band of British soldiers. It is only a mile to the outskirts of town, and soon you are riding through the moonlit fields and hills of rural Manhattan. The Bloomingdale Road branches to the left, but you stay with the old post road on the right. A few miles on up, you notice a small group of people on horseback, gathered in a clearing across the way. They are clad in dark clothes with pointed hoods. As soon as they see you, they disband. You wonder what strange things may be happening in the woods tonight. Suddenly, the countryside seems alive. Every snapping twig or rustling branch seems to have a secret meaning. A moment later, a shadowy figure on horseback emerges from the trees ahead and hails you. So we got another choices here. If you stop to see who it is, turn to page 39. If you bolt on your horse, turn to page 17. Motherfucker, we aren't trying to talk to anybody right now, so we are about to bolt on our horse. Page 17. In a flash, you rein your horse to the left and bolt across an open field, looking back to see the mysterious rider coming after you. You urge your horse on faster. After threading your way through an orchard, you come onto the Bloomingdale Road. You turn up it at full gallop. I think they meant you turn it up at full gallop, but I think it's a typo. But the rider stays in close pursuit and is getting closer. You must do something. Ahead, a small trail takes off into the forest to the left. You swerve on it and plunge into the dark woods. You must slow up on the downhill slope as your horse stumbles over the roots and rocks. The trail gets steeper as you go. It ends at the bank of the Hudson River. You are at a small inlet where the stream flows into the river. Tied to a tree by the stream is a rowboat. It could be your means of escape. Should you take the rowboat across the river to the Jersey Shore? Or should you cross the stream and climb the hill to your right, hoping to lose the rider in the untracked woods? More choices here. If you take the rowboat over to New Jersey, turn to page 37. If you cross the stream and head into the woods, turn to page 91. You know, for some reason, I'm not really feeling this rowboat idea. So I think we're going to go try and book it across this stream and get into the woods and see if we can lose this guy. Page 91. You turn your horse around to the right, splash across the stream, and crash into the thick woods. It is difficult going. The moonlight trickles through in only a few places, casting shadows, and branches constantly grab at you and your horse. You pause in an uphill climb after a while and listen for sounds of pursuit. There are none. You breathe a little easier. Perhaps you have finally shaken off the strange-looking rider. You crest the hill and come into a clearing, stopping for a moment to get your bearings. You notice a wooden blockhouse on the far side of the clearing. Suddenly, the cold steel of a bayonet presses into your back. A harsh voice garbles some words at you. You raise your arm slowly and turn in your saddle. The man holding a bayonet is a bizarre sight in the moonlight. He wears a bright green uniform trimmed in red and a cocked hat. A long, greased ponytail hangs down his back, and his handlebar mustache is waxed to 2 sharp points. He is a Hessen Grenadier, one of the German mercenaries for the British. You've escaped right into the hands of an enemy patrol. Turn to page 95. The Hessen. I don't know if you guys ever saw that Tim Burton movie, Sleepy Hollow, came out in like 99. But Christopher Walken, Headless Horseman, he was one of these dudes, the Hessen mercenary. Anyways, the Hessen comes alongside you, keeping his bayonet disturbingly close to your body. You eye each other warily. I got lost in the woods, you say, and proceed to pour out your story about going to visit your uncle. You know he can't understand a word of it and hope it will confuse him. Quiet, he snarls at you, then says some more words in German. He tries to make you move forward to the blockhouse. I can't, you insist, gesturing back toward the woods. I must go that way. I'm late. They're waiting for me. Then you have an idea. You could say you are a courier for General Howe, the head of the British Army. It's a risky proposition. A big lie could get you into a lot of trouble, but it might also fool the Grenadier. On the other hand, it might be safer to stick to the story about going to visit your uncle. Here we got some choices and more choice action. If you say General Howe is waiting for you, turn to page 100. If you stick to the story about visiting your uncle, turn to page 111. You know what? With that Robert Smith guy, we kind of already, established the cover story about the uncle. So we shouldn't really divert from that. We should just stick to our guns here and stick with the story. And I'm going to turn to page 111. You are put under guard for the rest of the night. In the morning, you are brought in to see the commandant. What were you doing out last night? He asks sharply. I got lost in the woods, you explain. I was going to visit my uncle. At 3 a.m? Yes, it's a long way, you say. What's the rush? Well, he's sick and doesn't have anyone to take care of him. The commandant eyes you for a minute before coming to a decision. We can't take any risks, he says. The British troops are making important movements in the next 3 days. We will hold you here under guard until they are finished. I'm sorry, but your uncle will have to wait. So will George Washington. The end. All right, guys. Well, it's safe to say that we fucked up. George Washington did not receive our plans. Our mission was thwarted, and we were thrown in jail. But we didn't die, though, so we should probably be thankful for that. But it's pretty obvious that we are not cut out to be revolutionaries here. Speaking for myself, I am glad to be living in America in 2018 as opposed to 1777, because I'm sure it was full of a lot of bullshit. And 2018's got some good stuff in it. It's got some bad stuff here as well, but I mean, that's everybody. Everyone's got some bad stuff, no matter what time frame you're living in. Anyways, guys, that was a read-through of Spy for George Washington. If you like what you heard here, you can always like, comment, or subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.